woman's body has matured over time, yet she has never had the chance to openly express herself in front of the male figure who holds power over her. She glanced back at the pregnant wife, noticing the striking beauty of the woman. Instinctively, a wave of desire surged within the man, catching her off guard. Recognizing the unspoken implications in his gaze, she discreetly gathered her things and departed. Little did she know, she would find herself ensnared by the dark games of this affluent family, leading her to confront the harsh realities of the world. This film delves into the rawness of human nature, questioning the stark divide between the wealthy and the impoverished. Notably, it stands as the one film that a man can experience alongside three women, beginning with an intense emotional crescendo. Yan-shi, a recent college graduate, grapples with financial struggles in Korea, forcing him into a restaurant job. Despite his circumstances, he clings to the hope of escaping poverty. His dream is to ascend the social ladder. When he learns that becoming a housewife in a wealthy family could be his ticket, he selflessly dedicates his resources to kiwujiksi, with confidence stemming from his academic achievements. Yan-shi breaches the threshold into the opulent world. Initially, elated, he assumes these affluent individuals are not only cultured but also approachable. However, he soon discovers a harsh truth: many in the upper echelons can be devoid of gratitude from that moment on. He observes those two piercing eyes, contemplating his fate as if it were a never-ending cycle. One evening, clutching a ludicrously priced bottle of red wine, he strides toward the housewife's quarters. As he pours the luxurious red into a glass, he takes a sip, the richness flooding his senses. In that moment, he feels enveloped by wealth. Yet, this foolish recklessness leads Yan-shi unknowingly into a precarious situation. Would he choose to retreat? The ensuing events unfold as a form of silent observation for him, for since that night, Pio has become a disruptor in Yan-shi's life, visiting his dorm with alarming frequency. Though Yan-shi approaches these interactions with, he is unaware that Li Shen, the villa's housekeeper with decades of experience, has witnessed it all. While the aftermath of Yan-shi's actions weighs heavily on his conscience, he lives in fear that any revelation to the host would result in dire consequences, not to mention the potential harm to the pregnant wife. After some consideration, she made the choice to visit the mother of the female host. Godly laid everything out in a single breath, leaving Lan's sister so furious she felt she might explode. The son-in-law had a stellar reputation, and the daughter was a fresh addition to a prestigious family. The son-in-law for their livelihood. Meanwhile, a troubled fly hovered, unsure of what to do next. On the other side, Yangtze removed her makeup as she headed to work, convinced that Lao Pio would surely be drawn to her beauty. When she entered the study bringing breakfast, Lao Pio hardly glanced her way. Indifferent as ever, preferring to shut his eyes and ignore her presence, he allowed her to take the 10 million check sitting on the table without a second thought. In that moment, Yangtze came to a stark realization. There were no genuine feelings between them. She merely saw herself as something precious, a mere ornament. Normally, it would be wise for her to leave swiftly with the check, but Yangtze harbored bigger dreams. She aspired to be the lady of the house. Yet, that aspiration was nothing more than a fantasy. As she cleaned the stairs one day, Lan's sister and her daughter happened to be strolling nearby. An unfortunate incident occurred, and Yangtze accidentally fell down from above. She was promptly taken to the hospital, and fortunately, her injuries were only minor, a slight concussion. However, the hostess went unvisited, reinforcing the sense of isolation that enveloped her. Li Shen's decision to send Zhang Jipyo as a form of compensation led Yangtze to believe it was merely a coincidence. After all, Yangtze felt doctor would openly announce her pregnancy, the baby growing inside her was her ticket to maintaining her status in high society. Unbeknownst to her, the news of her pregnancy had already reached Lan, who was using it as part of a scheme to ensure Yangtze ended up in the hospital for confirmation. The tension between mother and daughter was palpable, leaving Yangtze feeling precariously perched on the edge of a cliff, her noble standing at risk of crumbling at any moment. Despite her good health, she found herself rushing back to the mansion, heavily pregnant and determined to work. However, the hostess was seething with anger. In a fit of rage, she grabbed a golf club in the dead of night, intent on confronting Yangtze. She glared at Yangtze, consumed by a desire to eliminate her rival. Yet, in the end, she couldn't bring herself to go through with it. Li Shen witnessed the entire scene unfold from outside the door, reminiscent of a dramatic television show. The hostess merely wanted Yangtze out of her life, never anticipating that this woman was carrying her son. The following day, Yangtze was summoned, unaware of the storm awaiting her, and was met with a slap from the hostess. "What is wrong with you?" she demanded. Yangtze finally came to the realization that her secret had been exposed. In an instant, her haughty demeanor crumbled, and she found herself kneeling, apologizing to the hostess. Had the hostess not been pregnant and in poor health, Yangtze could have faced dire consequences. To manage the situation, Lan handed Yangtze a check, urging her to leave and take care of the child. Confused about how they knew of her pregnancy, Yangtze felt the weight of the moment. To prevent any further complications, the entire family accompanied the hostess to the hospital for the delivery, leaving Yangtze and Li Shen behind at home. As soon as they were alone, Yangtze rushed to Li Shen and said this baby will be okay. Li Shen returned promptly, as if he had anticipated the outcome. Yangtze began to pack her things, planning to slip away unnoticed. However, just as she reached the villa's entrance, the security guard pulled her back. This was merely a figment of Li Shen's imagination. They would never allow Lao Pio to roam freely. Meanwhile, the hostess successfully gave birth to twins, but Lao Pio was eager to claim fatherhood, even fabricating a story about the second child. While he smiled outwardly, his heart was troubled, unaware of the true dynamics at home, including Yangtze's pregnancy with his child.